You have been told that your sleep cycles last 90 minutes. Every sleep article says it. Every sleep app is built around it. Every doctor repeats it. But here is what those sources are not telling you. That 90-minute number is an average. And a new study published in January 2025 has found that your sleep cycles may work in a way that is fundamentally different from what scientists have believed for decades. The implications reach further than just sleep. They touch on depression, aging, medication, and how well your brain is actually recovering each night. Before we go any further, because this is Curious and Verified, here is the source. The study is titled Fractal Cycles of Sleep, a new aperiodic activity-based definition of sleep cycles. It was published in eLife on January 9, 2025. The research team included scientists from Radboud University Medical Center in the Netherlands, the Max Planck Institute of Psychiatry in Germany, and the University of Zurich in Switzerland. The full link is in the description below. Everything in this video comes directly from this research. Now, let's get into it. First, let's establish what we thought we knew. For decades, sleep science has defined a sleep cycle as a single episode of NREM sleep, non-rapid eye movement sleep, followed by a single episode of REM sleep. NREM is the deeper, restorative phase. REM is where most dreaming occurs. A typical night contains 4 to 6 of these cycles, each lasting approximately 90 minutes. This definition has been the foundation of sleep research since the 1970s, but there is a problem with it. Identifying where one cycle ends and the next begins requires a human expert to manually examine a patient's brain activity for hours. It is time-consuming, it is expensive, and it involves judgment calls that different experts sometimes make differently. The question this study asked was simple but important. Is there a better way? The answer came from an unexpected place. Not from looking at REM and NREM directly, but from a property of brain activity that most sleep research had largely ignored. It is called fractal activity, or aperiodic neural activity. Here is what that means in simple terms. When your brain generates electrical signals, those signals don't just have a frequency, like the regular oscillations of a heartbeat. They also have a texture, a kind of self-similar, irregular patterning that repeats across different timescales. This is the fractal component of brain activity, and it turns out it changes in a very consistent way across the night. What the researchers discovered is this. The fractal component of brain activity rises and falls in a rhythmic pattern during sleep. It descends to a low point, then rises to a high point, then descends again. And the time between one peak and the next is what the researchers defined as a fractal cycle. When they compared these fractal cycles to the traditional manually identified sleep cycles, the match was remarkably close. Fractal cycles averaged 89 minutes. Classical cycles averaged 90 minutes. The correlation between the two was statistically significant. But here is what makes fractal cycles different and potentially more powerful. They are objective. They are continuous. They can be calculated automatically from brain data without any human interpretation required. The study then went further and tested fractal cycles across 3 different groups. The first group was 205 healthy adults. The second group was 21 children and adolescents. And the third group was 111 patients with depression. And the findings were not the same across all 3. In healthy adults, fractal and classical cycles aligned closely. But in children and adolescents, fractal cycles were significantly shorter. Children averaged 76 minutes per cycle. Young adults averaged 94 minutes. This is an 18-minute difference. And it suggests that the 90-minute figure, the number that has been used as a universal standard, may not apply equally to younger brains. The findings in patients with depression were equally striking. Patients who were taking antidepressant medication showed significantly longer fractal cycles than both their unmedicated state and age-matched healthy controls. Medicated patients averaged 107 minutes per cycle. Unmedicated patients averaged 92 minutes. Healthy controls averaged 88 minutes. A 107-minute cycle versus an 88-minute cycle is not a small difference. The researchers were careful not to overinterpret this finding. They did not claim that longer cycles are better or worse. What they observed is that medication alters the fractal structure of sleep in a measurable way. and that fractal cycles may be a sensitive tool for detecting changes in sleep architecture that classical methods might miss. There is one more finding worth highlighting. Some sleep cycles do not contain REM sleep at all. These are called skipped cycles. They tend to occur at the beginning of the night, particularly in younger adults, when the pressure for deep sleep is highest. Classifying these cycles manually has always been challenging, because without a clear REM episode, it is hard to know where the cycle ends. The fractal cycle algorithm handled this with impressive accuracy. It detected cycles with skipped REM sleep in 91 to 98% of cases. This matters for clinical sleep research, because skipped cycles are associated with certain sleep disorders, and being able to identify them reliably and automatically is a significant step forward. So what does all of this mean in practical terms? The study does not tell you to restructure your sleep around a new number, and it does not claim that fractal cycles will replace traditional sleep scoring tomorrow. What it does say is this: the 90-minute sleep cycle is a useful approximation, but it is an approximation built on averages, and averages obscure individual variation. Your sleep cycles may be shorter or longer than 90 minutes. They may change as you age. They may be altered by the medications you take. And until now, science has not had an objective, automatic way to measure those individual differences at scale. Fractal cycles may change that. Let's bring this back to where we started. The 90-minute sleep cycle is not wrong. It is simply incomplete. A new study from 3 leading European research institutions has introduced a method for measuring sleep cycles based on fractal neural activity, a continuous, objective signal that does not require human interpretation. That method correlates closely with traditional sleep cycle identification, but it also reveals differences that traditional methods cannot capture in children, in aging adults, and in people taking medication for depression. The science of sleep is not finished, and what we believe to be a fixed universal rhythm of the night may turn out to be far more individual than we thought. The full study is linked in the description, free to read, peer-reviewed, and published in eLife. As always on this channel, the source comes first. If you have a question about the research, or a topic you'd like us to cover next, leave it in the comments. Subscribe if you want more, and we'll see you in the next one.